A black SUV screeched to a stop in front of Kingsley Manor as Elena Morales stumbled down the marble front steps, clutching a single suitcase against her chest. Behind her, the massive iron gates began to close with a loud clang that echoed through the evening air. "Please," Elena cried, turning around with tears streaming down her face. "You can't do this to me. I've worked here for 7 years. At least let me explain." Margaret Doyle folded her arms, her expression as cold as stone. "You've explained enough. The emerald necklace is gone, and you were the last person with access to that wing. Security has already been informed. Be grateful Mr. Kingsley isn't pressing charges." "I didn't steal anything," Elena shouted, her voice breaking. "I swear on my son's life, I didn't." No one answered. Nearly 20 members of the household staff stood silently behind Margaret. Some lowered their heads in shame. Others looked away, too afraid to meet Elena's eyes. Inside the old sedan parked near the gate, 5-year-old Leo Morales woke up to the sound of his mother's voice. "Mommy," he whispered, rubbing his sleepy eyes. Elena quickly wiped away her tears before opening the car door. "It's okay, sweetheart." "No." Leo frowned. "You're crying." "I'm all right." "No, you're not." She forced a smile, but children always knew the truth. As she started the engine, the gates closed completely behind them. 7 years of loyalty, gone in less than 15 minutes. If stories about justice, courage, and unforgettable endings inspire you, take a second to like this video and subscribe. You won't want to miss what happens next because one small phone call is about to change everything. 2 months earlier, life inside Kingsley Manor had followed the same rhythm every day. Elena woke before sunrise. She prepared breakfast, organized the household schedules, checked every room personally, made sure every employee had what they needed. Nobody had to ask twice. "Good morning, Mrs. Morales," one of the gardeners would often say. "Morning," she'd reply with a warm smile. "Don't forget the roses near the east fountain need watering today." You always remember everything. "I try." She wasn't just another housekeeper. She was the person who quietly kept the entire estate running. Even employees who had worked there longer respected her. Meanwhile, the owner of the estate, Jonathan Kingsley, rarely appeared. As the founder of one of America's fastest-growing logistics companies, he spent more time in airports than in his own home. Whenever he arrived, it was usually for only a day or two. "Has Mr. Kingsley landed?" Margaret would ask. "Yes," someone answered. "Good. Make sure no one disturbs him." Margaret controlled everything. Schedules, payroll, hiring, firing, even conversations. People obeyed her because they feared losing their jobs. Only Elena believed kindness worked better than fear. One afternoon, Jonathan unexpectedly crossed paths with little Leo in the garden. The boy was chasing a paper airplane. It landed near Jonathan's briefcase just as he stepped out of his car. "Oh," Leo gasped. "I'm sorry, mister." Jonathan picked up the tiny paper airplane. "Is this yours?" Leo nodded nervously. "I'm really, really sorry." Jonathan laughed softly. "I've had grown men cause bigger problems than this." Leo smiled. Then Jonathan noticed a folder lying on the ground beside his car. His eyes widened. "My contract." A gust of wind had blown several important documents from the open briefcase. Without hesitation, Leo ran after the flying papers. "I'll get them." He sprinted across the driveway. One page landed in a flower bed. Another drifted toward the fountain. Within moments, Leo returned carrying every single sheet. Jonathan looked genuinely impressed. "You saved me." Leo giggled. "I run fast." "You certainly do." Jonathan reached into his wallet. Instead of money, he pulled out a sleek black business card. He knelt so they were eye level. "Listen carefully." Leo nodded. "If your mommy ever has a real emergency and she can't reach anyone, call this number." Leo looked at the card like it was treasure. "Can I keep it?" "Yes. I won't lose it." Jonathan smiled. "I believe you." Neither of them realized that simple moment would one day save 2 lives. Back in the present, Elena parked outside her small apartment building. The engine turned off. Silence filled the car. Finally, she whispered, What am I going to do? Leo reached over and squeezed her hand. Mommy? Yes. Did the mean lady make you lose your job? Elena couldn't hold back anymore. She buried her face in the steering wheel and cried. I don't know how we're going to pay rent, she sobbed. I don't know how I'm going to buy groceries. I don't know what happens now. Leo wrapped his tiny arms around her. It's okay, Mommy. No, baby, it's not okay. It will be. She looked at him through tear-filled eyes. How do you know? Because good people always win. His innocent words broke her heart all over again. That night, after putting Leo to bed, Elena spread her bills across the kitchen table. Rent, electricity, water, medical insurance. She counted the money inside her purse. $52. That was everything. She closed her eyes. God, she whispered. I've never asked for much. Please, just help me get through this. From the bedroom doorway, little Leo quietly watched without her noticing. He didn't understand overdue bills. He didn't understand false accusations. But he understood one thing. His mommy was hurting. And when someone you love hurts, you help them. The next morning, while Elena was in the shower preparing for another day of searching for work, Leo quietly opened the small wooden box where he kept his favorite treasures. Inside were marbles, a toy car, a faded birthday photo, and one black business card. His eyes lit up. The nice man, he whispered. He carefully picked up Elena's old cracked cell phone from the kitchen counter. His tiny fingers trembled as he looked at the number written on the back of the card. I said I wouldn't lose it, he whispered proudly. Then, taking a deep breath, he pressed the first number. Leo's tiny fingers pressed the final digit. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Thousands of miles away, inside a luxury hotel suite overlooking Seattle's skyline, Jonathan Kingsley glanced at the unfamiliar number lighting up his private phone. Almost no one had this number. His family knew it. His attorney knew it. His chief of security knew it. That was all. He was about to decline the call when something made him hesitate. He answered. Jonathan Kingsley speaking. For a second, there was only silence. Then came the small, trembling voice. Hello. Jonathan frowned. Hello? Who is this? My name is Leo. Jonathan searched his memory. I'm sorry, buddy. Do we know each other? You gave me your card. Jonathan sat upright. The paper airplane? Yeah, Leo said excitedly. You remembered me. Jonathan's expression softened immediately. I remember. What's going on? Is your mom all right? Leo looked toward the bathroom to make sure Elena couldn't hear him. No. Jonathan's heart skipped. What happened? They made my mommy cry. Jonathan stood from his chair. Slow down, Leo. Tell me everything. They said she stole something. What? But she didn't. Leo burst out. My mommy doesn't steal. She tells me stealing is wrong. She said God sees everything. She wouldn't do it. Jonathan's face became serious. Who said this? The mean lady. What mean lady? Miss Margaret. Jonathan's stomach tightened. Margaret Doyle. Yes. What exactly happened? They told mommy to leave. They made everybody watch. She cried all the way home. Jonathan walked toward the window, unable to believe what he was hearing. When did this happen? Yesterday. And where's your mommy now? In the shower. Does she know you're calling me? Leo shook his head before realizing Jonathan couldn't see him. No. Jonathan couldn't help smiling despite the situation. I appreciate you calling me. Can you help my mommy? Jonathan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked softly, Leo, did your mommy really not steal anything? Leo answered without even pausing. No, she would never. The certainty in the little boy's voice hit Jonathan harder than he expected. Children that age didn't rehearse speeches. They simply spoke what they believed. Can you tell your mommy I need to speak with her? Okay. Just then, the bathroom door opened. Elena stepped out, drying her hair with a towel. Leo? Who are you talking to? Leo's eyes grew wide. The nice man. What nice man? The one with the card. Elena froze. What card? The black one. She rushed over just as Leo held the phone toward her. He wants to talk to you. Confused, Elena placed the phone to her ear. Hello, Elena. Her entire body went still. Mr. Kingsley? Yes, I'm so sorry if Leo disturbed you. He didn't disturb me. Her breathing became uneven. He told me what happened. She lowered her eyes. I'm embarrassed. Don't be. A long silence followed. Finally, Jonathan asked quietly, Did you steal the necklace? Elena's voice cracked. No. There was no anger. No outrage. Just heartbreak. I didn't. Can you prove where you were? Yes. You can. I took Leo to Riverside Children's Clinic. I still have the appointment confirmation, the receipt, and even the parking ticket. Jonathan's eyebrows lifted. You have all of that? I keep every receipt. Can you send them to me? Right now. I'll text you a secure number. She hesitated. Mr. Kingsley. Yes. Why are you listening to me? Jonathan looked down at the city below, then answered honestly. Because I should have listened before. Elena covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. Thank you. After hanging up, Jonathan immediately canceled his meeting. His executive assistant stared in surprise. Sir, the investors are already downstairs. They can wait. They've flown in from 3 different countries. I said they can wait. She had never heard that tone before. Jonathan picked up another phone. Get Daniel Brooks. Within 30 seconds, a calm voice answered. Brooks, I need you. I'm listening. I want a complete investigation at Kingsley Manor. What happened? A housekeeper was fired for theft. Were the police involved? No. Evidence? I don't know. Daniel became quiet. You don't know? No. Another pause. Finally, Daniel asked, Who handled the investigation? Margaret Doyle. Daniel sighed. So there wasn't an investigation. Jonathan frowned. What do you mean? I mean, if the same person making accusations is also controlling the evidence, we don't have an investigation. We have assumptions. Jonathan felt those words sink like stones into his chest. He had trusted Margaret for nearly 12 years. Without question. Without oversight. Without verification. I want everything checked, Jay. I want everything checked, Jonathan said firmly. Every camera. Done. Every access log. Done. Payroll. Done. Financial records. Done. The safe itself. Already writing it down. Jonathan added one more instruction. And Daniel. Yes, if Elena Morales is innocent. His voice hardened. I want to know exactly who destroyed her life. I'll find out. You have 48 hours. I'll call sooner. By that afternoon, Daniel had arrived at Kingsley Manor. Margaret greeted him with her usual confident smile. Daniel, no one told me you were coming. They weren't supposed to. Her smile faded slightly. Is everything all right? I'll be the judge of that. Margaret crossed her arms. What exactly are you investigating? Daniel looked directly into her eyes. Everything. For the first time in years. Margaret Doyle looked nervous. And Daniel noticed it immediately. He didn't say another word. Instead, he walked straight toward the security office, unaware that what he was about to uncover wouldn't just expose a missing necklace. It would reveal a betrayal that had been hidden inside Kingsley Manor for years. The engineer looked again to be certain, then answered, Margaret Doyle. Daniel sat perfectly still. You're absolutely sure? There is 0 chance this record is incorrect. Daniel thanked him and ended the call. For several seconds, he simply stared at the monitor. Then he whispered, I've got you. But he wasn't finished. If Margaret had opened the safe, why accuse Elena? Unless she wanted someone else to take the fall. Daniel immediately ordered a forensic audit of every valuable item stored inside the estate vault over the past 3 years. Hours later, the preliminary report arrived. His eyes widened. This can't be. 1 necklace. 2 watches. 3 rare coins. An antique diamond brooch. A sapphire bracelet. Dozens of items had quietly disappeared over the years. No one had noticed because inventory reports had been altered. And every altered report had Margaret's authorization. Daniel called Jonathan again. You need to sit down. I'm listening. This wasn't desperation. What do you mean? This has been happening for years. Jonathan closed his eyes. How much? We're still counting. And Margaret. The evidence keeps leading back to her. Jonathan's voice became ice cold. Does anyone else know? I believe she had help. How many? I won't know until tomorrow. Jonathan looked out the window toward the estate grounds where Elena had once worked faithfully every day. He whispered to himself. I failed her. Then, louder, he said. Daniel. Yes. When this is over. I know. No. Jonathan interrupted him. I don't want justice hidden behind closed doors. What are you planning? I want every employee present. Daniel nodded. You're going to confront them all. No. Jonathan's eyes hardened. I'm going to give the truth a voice, the one Elena was never given. Neither man realized that, at that very moment, Margaret Doyle was standing in her office, staring at a notification on her computer. Someone had accessed the biometric logs. Her face turned pale. She whispered, No, no, no. Then she reached for her desk drawer. Inside was a flash drive. The same flash drive that contained years of altered financial records. If Daniel found it, everything would be over. She grabbed her purse, hurried toward the back exit of the mansion, and looked over her shoulder. I have to get rid of this, now. But someone else had already seen her leave. And they quietly picked up their phone. Mr. Brooks, the nervous voice whispered, I think Mrs. Doyle is trying to destroy something. Daniel sprang to his feet. What did you see? She has a flash drive, and she's heading toward the old guest house. Daniel didn't hesitate. Don't stop her. I'm on my way. As he raced through the estate grounds, Margaret reached the guest house door with shaking hands. She pulled the flash drive from her purse. Just a few more seconds. She plugged it into a laptop. Her finger hovered over the Delete All Files button. Then, the door slammed open. Margaret gasped and spun around so quickly that the laptop nearly slid off the table. Daniel Brooks stood in the doorway, breathing hard after sprinting across the estate. Step away from the computer, he ordered. Margaret forced a laugh, though her hands were trembling. Daniel, you nearly gave me a heart attack. I was just organizing old files. Really? Yes. Then you won't mind if I take a look. She instinctively reached for the flash drive. Daniel noticed immediately. Don't. You don't understand. I understand more than you think. She suddenly yanked the flash drive from the laptop and shoved it into her pocket. I'm leaving. No, you're not. You can't stop me. I don't have to. Daniel pulled out his phone. I've already called local authorities. Margaret's confident expression disappeared. You, what? I said I've already called them. For the first time in years, Margaret Doyle looked exactly what she had become. Terrified. The next morning, every employee at Kingsley Manor received a message. Mandatory staff meeting. Attendance required. No explanation. No agenda. Only one instruction. Be in the grand ballroom at exactly 10 o'clock. Rumors spread through the estate like wildfire. What's going on? I heard Mr. Kingsley came home early. Do you think someone else is getting fired? I don't know. Even the gardeners stopped working to whisper among themselves. Nobody noticed Jonathan Kingsley standing alone on the second-floor balcony, quietly watching everyone gather below. His face carried the weight of regret. 7 years. One innocent woman. One careless decision. He would never forgive himself for that. Across town, Elena was folding laundry when her phone rang again. She glanced at the screen. Jonathan Kingsley. Her hands froze. Should she answer? After a deep breath, she picked up. Hello. Elena. Yes, Mr. Kingsley. I have a favor to ask. She frowned. A favor? Would you be willing to come to the estate this morning? Silence. Finally, she whispered. I don't think I can. I understand why. It isn't just because of me. I know. My son watched me be humiliated. Jonathan closed his eyes. I know. He still asks why everyone thought I was a thief. His voice became softer. I can't erase what happened. No. But I can make sure the truth is heard by every single person who watched it happen. Elena didn't answer. After several seconds, she asked, Will I have to face Margaret? Jonathan looked toward the ballroom. Yes. She inhaled sharply. I don't know if I'm strong enough. Before Jonathan could respond, a tiny voice interrupted. Mommy. Leo had been listening from the hallway. He tugged gently on her sleeve. You told me brave people tell the truth. Elena looked at her son. His innocent smile gave her strength she didn't know she still had. She nodded. We'll come. 10 o'clock. The grand ballroom was completely silent. Nearly every employee stood shoulder to shoulder. Gardeners, chefs, drivers, housekeepers, maintenance workers, accountants. No one spoke. Jonathan walked to the front of the room. Daniel stood beside him. Margaret sat alone in the first row. Her face looked pale. Jonathan slowly looked around the room. I've called you here today because I owe every one of you an apology. The room became even quieter. Especially Margaret. She had expected anger, not an apology. Jonathan continued. When Elena Morales was accused of stealing an emerald necklace, he paused. I believed the accusation without asking for evidence. Several employees lowered their heads. I failed as your employer. He turned toward the entrance. The massive doors opened. Elena walked inside holding Leo's hand. The room instantly filled with whispers. She's back. I can't believe it. Leo squeezed his mother's hand tighter. It's okay, Mommy. Jonathan stepped down from the stage and faced Elena. Then, in front of everyone, he bowed his head. I'm sorry. A wave of shock swept across the room. The billionaire owner of Kingsley Manor, apologizing publicly to a housekeeper. Elena's eyes immediately filled with tears. Jonathan looked back at the employees. Every person in this room deserves to know the truth. He nodded toward Daniel. Daniel connected a projector. The first image appeared on the large screen. A biometric access log. This, Daniel began, is the official manufacturer record from the estate safe. He pointed to the highlighted line. The safe was not opened using Elena Morales' credentials. People exchanged confused glances. Daniel clicked to the next slide. The fingerprint used belonged to. He stopped for one dramatic moment. Margaret Doyle. Gasps echoed throughout the ballroom. Several employees covered their mouths. One chef actually dropped the tray he was holding. Margaret immediately stood. That's a lie. Daniel calmly clicked another slide. A certified verification report. Then another. And another. 3 independent confirmations. It's impossible. Margaret shouted. Daniel looked directly at her. No. He held up the recovered flash drive. This also isn't impossible. Margaret's face lost every trace of color. Daniel continued. This flash drive contains altered inventory reports dating back almost 3 years. Another slide appeared. Missing jewelry. Missing watches. Missing antiques. Missing cash transfers. The losses totaled more than $1 million. The room exploded with whispers. Oh my goodness. All these years. It was her. Jonathan spoke again. I wanted to believe this wasn't true. He looked at Margaret. I truly did. Margaret's shoulders collapsed. I needed money. Jonathan's voice hardened. So you destroyed an innocent woman's life? I panicked. No. Jonathan shook his head firmly. You planned it. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. My debts kept growing. So you chose Elena because everyone trusted her? Margaret couldn't answer. Daniel answered for her. We found emails showing she deliberately selected Elena because she believed no one would question the accusation. The silence that followed felt unbearable. Then, something unexpected happened. A young housekeeper slowly raised her hand. Her voice trembled. Jonathan looked at her kindly. Go ahead. She began crying. I knew something wasn't right. Why didn't you say anything? I was scared. Another employee spoke. So was I. Then another. And me. Within seconds, several workers admitted they had doubted Margaret's story but remained silent because they feared losing their jobs. Elena quietly wiped away another tear. It wasn't revenge she felt. It was sadness. How many people had lived in fear for years? Jonathan took a deep breath before speaking one final time. Fear has no place in this home anymore. Just then, two police officers walked through the ballroom doors. They approached Margaret calmly. One officer said, "Margaret Doyle, you're under arrest for fraud, theft, evidence tampering, and filing a false accusation." Margaret closed her eyes. She didn't resist. As she was escorted away, she stopped in front of Elena. For several long seconds, neither woman spoke. Finally, Margaret whispered through tears, "I'm sorry." Elena looked at her quietly, then answered in a voice that was calm, but unforgettable. "I hope one day you become the person you pretended to be." Margaret lowered her head. Without another word, she walked away in handcuffs. The ballroom remained silent. But Jonathan wasn't finished. He turned back toward Elena. There was still one thing left to do, the one thing that would change both of their lives forever. If you've stayed with this story to this moment, you're about to witness the most emotional part of all. In the final chapter, justice gives way to redemption, and one little boy discovers just how powerful one phone call can be. Jonathan stood in complete silence as the ballroom slowly emptied. The police officers escorted Margaret outside without resistance. The sound of the closing doors echoed through the mansion, but Jonathan didn't move. He kept looking at Elena. "I can never give you back what was taken from you," he said quietly. Elena shook her head. "No, you can't." Jonathan nodded. "I know. For 7 years, I treated this place like my own home. I know. I missed birthdays because someone had to prepare your family's events. I know. I stayed late whenever there was an emergency. I know. I defended this house whenever people spoke badly about wealthy employers." Jonathan lowered his head. "And the one day I needed someone to defend me." His eyes filled with regret. No one did. The words struck everyone still standing in the room. Not because they were loud, but because they were true. Jonathan slowly walked toward her. "I don't expect forgiveness." Elena looked into his eyes. "I've spent 2 nights asking myself what I did wrong." "You did nothing wrong." "I wondered if I smiled too much." "You didn't." "I wondered if I trusted the wrong people." "You did." "I wondered if hard work really matters anymore." Jonathan swallowed hard. "It does." She smiled sadly. "Then why was it so easy for everyone to believe I was a thief?" Jonathan couldn't answer. Because there wasn't one. Instead, he reached into his jacket pocket and removed a small envelope. "I prepared something for you." Elena looked confused. "What is it?" "Please." She slowly opened it. Her eyes widened. Inside was a formal employment contract, but it wasn't for her old position. She looked at Jonathan. "I don't understand. You aren't coming back as a housekeeper." "I'm not?" "No." He smiled gently. "You're coming back as director of household operations." The room became silent once again. Jonathan continued. "Every department on this estate will report directly to you." Elena stared at him in disbelief. "Mr. Kingsley." "No," he interrupted softly. "After everything that's happened." He smiled at Leo. "I think Jonathan is just fine." A few employees laughed through their tears. Jonathan continued. "Your salary will be more than double what you earned before." Elena couldn't speak. "You'll receive full medical coverage." Her lips trembled. "A retirement plan." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "And," he handed her another envelope. "This is the deed to the cottage on the north side of the estate." She froze. "The cottage? It's been completely renovated." I could never afford that." "You won't have to. It's yours." Leo tugged on his mother's sleeve. "Mommy?" She looked down. "Does that mean we get a new home?" She burst into tears and knelt to hug him tightly. "Yes, sweetheart. We do." "Yes. We don't have to leave?" "No." Leo threw his little arms into the air. "I told you everything would be okay." The room erupted into warm laughter. Even Jonathan found himself wiping away a tear. 3 weeks later, Kingsley Manor felt different. The silence was gone. Employees greeted one another without fear. Suggestions were welcomed instead of punished. Every new policy began with one sentence posted in every hallway. "Every voice deserves to be heard." Elena personally met with each employee. "I don't want anyone to be afraid to speak." One gardener raised his hand. "What if we're reporting a manager?" "Especially then." A young housekeeper smiled. No one's ever said that before. Elena smiled back. Then let's make sure we never stop saying it. Jonathan kept his promise. Instead of flying across the country every week, he began spending more time at the estate. He learned the names of employees' children. He ate lunch with the staff once every Friday. He even helped plant flowers one Saturday morning. The workers couldn't believe it. One chef whispered, "Have you ever seen him carrying a shovel?" Another laughed. "Never." Jonathan overheard them. "I'm learning." Everyone laughed together. It no longer felt like a mansion divided by wealth. It felt like a community. One sunny afternoon, Jonathan found Leo sitting beneath the large oak tree, drawing with colored pencils. "What are you making?" Jonathan asked. Leo held up the picture proudly. "Our family." Jonathan smiled. "I see you. I see Mommy. And who's this?" "You." Jonathan looked surprised. "Me? Yeah. I thought families had to live in the same house." Leo shrugged. "They just have to care about each other." Jonathan felt his throat tighten. He sat beside the little boy. "Leo." "Yes. Do you know you changed my life?" Leo blinked. "I did. You reminded me that listening is just as important as leading." Leo thought about that for a moment. "I just wanted my mommy to smile again." Jonathan smiled. "Well," he looked toward Elena, who was laughing with several employees nearby. "I think you succeeded." Leo grinned from ear to ear. "I knew the nice man would help." Jonathan laughed. "I'm glad you called." "So am I." Months later, Elena stood before a group of newly hired employees during orientation. She looked around the room before speaking. "I want every one of you to remember something." Everyone listened carefully. "Your job title doesn't determine your value." The room remained silent. "Respect isn't something you earn after years of service." She smiled. "It's something every person deserves from the very first day." Several employees nodded. "If you ever feel unheard," she paused, "my office door will always be open." Standing quietly at the back of the room, Jonathan smiled with pride. He knew he hadn't just hired a great employee. He had found a remarkable leader. That evening, as the sun dipped below the trees surrounding Kingsley Manor, Elena, Leo, and Jonathan stood together on the front lawn. The same place where Elena had once been escorted away in tears. This time, she stood there with dignity, hope, and a future she never imagined possible. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive the moment we need it. Sometimes it takes courage. Sometimes it takes truth. And sometimes it takes the fearless heart of a little child who simply refuses to stop believing in the person he loves. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another inspiring story. Also, let us know in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Jonathan's position? Because one lesson remains true. Before you judge someone, listen to their story. It may change everything.
Welcome to Story Hub TV, where every story comes alive. Discover your next adventure.